Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in the Gospel of John, chapter 15. And Jesus is going to make a difference in the world and us. So let's get into it. John chapter 15. So verse 18, he says, if the world hates you, understand that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love you as its own. However, because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, out of it, the world hates you. Now, um, again, Jesus is just pouring out so much good stuff here. And again, later, this is through the epistles. Okay, this is why you should be reading all the epistles, all the Bible. Okay, so this is even the apostles build upon this. But notice Jesus says this: if the world hates you. Now, first and foremost, when we talk about the world, what do we mean? What do we mean, the world? Now, our English translation, of course, sometimes it's limited. So whereas, we may have one word, and it could have different meanings. So we talked about this with love, right? Different meanings. Okay. So the same thing with the world. So one meaning of world, and they're the basic meaning throughout all. Same thing with death. When we talk about death, there are different kinds of death that the Bible talks about. And then there's a common meaning between the different death, meaning to be separated from, um, separated from your body, separated from God eternally, separated from God spiritually. Well, the same thing with the world. The term world means, well, first is the cosmos. Now, the common thread, the common meaning is ordered system. Okay, the ordered system. So you talk about the created universe is referred to as the world. Okay, and then the second definition of the world is the systems of the world. Okay, the systems of the world, and those systems could be excuse me, um, the financial systems, the government systems, um, religious systems for sure. These are all of the world, these systems that make the world run. So when you look at the evil world today, you look at the systems. That's it. Okay, the financial systems, all of that. Okay, that's the world. And then it is also used of the people of the world. But you should note that the people of the world, it's the people of this evil world. They comprise the evil world because without the people, you wouldn't have the systems, or you wouldn't have people running the systems. Okay, so the context as we read will define what he is talking about. So, for example, you have a scripture that says that God created the world and all things in it. So he's talking about the cosmos. Then, as he says here, the world, if the world hates you, So what is he talking about? Is he talking about the cosmos? Is he talking about the systems of the world? No, he's talking about the people of the world. And then notice he also then says that if you were of the world, then the world would hate you. So you see two different use within the same sentence here. And of course, if you read John's, and by the way, just kind of a side note, John's writings were written much later in time. John is believed to be the last surviving apostle. Now, there are those that would debate this. For example, there are people that believe that John's writings, including the Book of Revelations, was written much earlier, but within 30 to 40 years after Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. So some believe before AD 70. I don't believe that. And as you know, I don't go into these kind of discussions only because they are only worth who's making the argument, okay? But the reason why, when you see John's use of the term world rather than, let's say, the Jewish part, he does talk about the Jewish part, however, but his overall message, you see, for God so loved the world. And you see this use, this universal, global use of his gospel message. His message is going out. So if the world hates you, understand that it hated me before it hated you. So this is as Christians, we need to understand. John would later say that love not the world. And in 1 John chapter 2, love not the world, nor the things of the world. Okay. All that's in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is of the world and not of the Father. So he said, if the world hates you, right, then we should not be surprised that the world doesn't accept us. We shouldn't be surprised how they react to us. Notice what Jesus says, if the world hates you, it hated me before it hated you. So in other words, they're not hating you, they're hating what they see in you as a believer. If you were of the world, then the world would love you as its own. He said, but because you're not of the world, and then notice this, I've chosen you out of the world hates you. And I say this because there are Christians who are trying to have a peaceful coexistence with the world. And here Jesus is telling us that the world hates you. You are a if you think that you can have that kind of coexistence. You're from two different existences. Now, let me also say this, that the believers are never referred to as the world. When you see this term that's used here, they're never referred to as the world. Notice what he says right here, that the world hates you. And then notice he said, because I've chosen you out of the world. So as believers, we are separate. We are chosen out of the world. We are never referred to as the world. So he says, if you were of the world, then the world would love its own. However, because you are not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world hates you. Okay? So then he says, verse 20, remember the word I've spoken to you, a slave is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they would also keep yours. But they would do these things to you on account of my name, because they don't know the one who sent me. Now I'm going to go back. He says, if they persecuted me, the word persecuted, okay, is to be afflicted for your faith. There is a difference how Scripture uses the word persecuted, okay, than to use, um, um, let's say, hardships or sufferings, even sufferings. And there's a certain use of the word sufferings as well. And so the word suffering itself means to allow. And then you have, when the Bible talks about persecutions, all right, you, as the Scripture uses it, you are always persecuted as a direct result of your faith, okay? That you are always persecuted as a direct result of your faith. So just keep that in mind. We think of sufferings or as persecutions, or when we talk about sufferings, now there's hardships in life. Now understand there's hardships in life, okay? And as we think about sufferings, I'm gonna get you a more clearer definition. I know what the word suffering is, but um, so here we go. But anyway, when Jesus said, "If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you." Now, this is different than, let's say, you enduring or suffering hardships. Now, hardships of life come, basically, hardships of life come as a result of the curse in the earth. So that can go from anything from, sickness, disease, financial hurt. And sometimes we suffer because we suffer hardship because of our own bad choices. All right, so that's the suffering. Okay, or you could suffer hardships because of someone else's hardships. Right. So, for example, a drunk driver, right, could plow into your car, either take your life or injure you, and you become severely injured. Why? Because of someone else's actions. That's hardship, though. That's not the sufferings of Christ. Now, so persecution is a mistreatment against you. It is a targeted attack. Okay, a targeted attack. So, for example, when you look at how Jesus was persecuted, the Pharisees tried to malign him. They tried to lie on him. They tried to destroy him. In some cases, they even tried to kill him, but they couldn't. All right. Paul was persecuted. The Jews hated Paul so that they literally would follow him from city to city. He would be in this city, and then he would travel to this city. They would follow him. They found out, oh, he's the next, and they would come and they would persecute him. Okay, they would persecute him. So, um, and here's the thing. He says, if they persecuted me, they will persecute you. Now, understand that this persecution is always on the behalf as a direct result of your faith in Jesus, your walk in Jesus. Some people will hate the goodness in you. Some people will hate that. And my point is, we shouldn't be surprised at that. I'm always surprised that Christians are surprised because they're getting persecuted, because the world does not accept them. And there, in America especially, there is this misguided belief from Christians that there is, well, okay, you know, if the world sins, that they're surprised because of the sin that comes out of the world. But he says they will persecute you. Paul put it this way in 2 Timothy, I forget which chapter. No, one of the Timothys, okay? That those who live godly or live a godly life will suffer persecution. Then you think about sometimes how we compromise. We don't want to say too much because we don't want people to get offended. And I'm not talking about being belligerent. I'm not talking about being foolish. Sometimes we could be foolish. I know I was, and you rub people the wrong way. Now, again, sometimes you can't help that. Standing for Christ, which means, by the way, that sacrificing your relationship with the world, right, would mean that you get persecuted. So he says, if they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. So we shouldn't be surprised at that. We shouldn't be. In fact, Peter spends his epistles telling us to arm our minds for persecution. That you're going to be persecuted. Now, sometimes in our nation, in America, we are spoiled. We're spoiled. And one of the reasons why we are spoiled is because we have a constitution. And our constitution protects us. If you call me out of my name, okay, if you call me out of my name, then I could sue you, right? Right? If I could sue the person that maligns me. I could sue the person that persecutes me. So persecution, let me just say this, persecution can be both mental, emotional, and physical. Okay? That people attack you mentally or emotionally or physically. Okay? Christians have suffered all three or one, So but he said, if they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Then he said, if they kept my word, they would also keep yours. Verse 21, but they would do all these things to you on account of my name, because they don't know the one who sent me. Okay? Why are they persecuting you? Because they don't know God. And get this, they could be very religious. Okay? They could be very religious. In fact, you probably can get just keep this in mind. The Jews, the Pharisees, were extremely religious and persecuted Jesus. They were extremely religious. Paul himself was a Pharisee and persecuted Christians, and then turned around and was persecuted by religious Jews. Extreme. So religion, yeah, and throughout church history, you can say there was almost every denomination persecuted people. The Catholics persecuted people. So religious people, you could suffer, extreme persecution from those who claim to be Christians. Okay, we'll pick this up in the next study. But don't have any surprise, because the world hates you, and they will hate you, and they will persecute you. All right, guys, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought, a comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome, and I'll see you in the next study.